I'm Jared Bear Fiorda, and I got next.
SLT Nation, how are you feeling today? This is your boy, the Mouth of the South Beach Jones, and that's right, we are back at it like a crack addict again with another episode of Sports Life Talk. You got next, in which Kevin and I go around the country and we find the underdog stories, the stories that you may not have heard, but these people are doing incredible things and they deserve all the accolades and the smell of the roses. So before I get going, I got my brother from another mother, my partner in crime, my PIC. Kev, how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling great, but I'm going to try my best not to get sideways on this show because I'm pretty sure I can't beat this guy up. So, you know.
No, well, he probably whoop both of us. I'm glad we 1,400 miles away from him because the bear is no joke. All right, fellas. Let's do this. Before we get started, let's pay some bills. If you're watching our channel for the first time, thank you for stopping by. Please share. On the count of 3, let's smash that subscribe button. 1, 2, 3, boom. Remember, we can't do this without you guys, so your support is greatly appreciated. And like we promised y'all at the beginning of 2021, we got new and better content coming. And today we get the opportunity to feature our first MMA artist. And those of you who follow the channel know that I'm a pugilistic type of guy. Can't fight worth a lick, right? I can't bust a grape in a fruit fight, but something about watching these guys go out there and take their bodies to the next level, the fearlessness, the tenacity, just they program different. That's all I can say. They program different. And today I get the opportunity to introduce you guys to Jared Bear Fiorda. I mean, a second-degree black belt, MMA fighter, instructor. Had the opportunity to go check out some of his fight. And the kid is fearless, all right? I'm just telling you. Hey, he'll hit you with the 1-2, back, with the quickness. My guy's born and raised out of Desert Hot Springs, California. And but today we're going to focus a little bit on the MMA career and where you come from, but we also are going to talk about some of the big things you got coming up with Free MMA, an organization, a nonprofit that Bear started. So before we get started, Bear, and trust me, I know if you can put your paws on both of us and do something, but we still got to enforce the rules around here. And part of one of our rules is we got to get you initiated into the Sports Life Talk family. It comes with a t-shirt. You know what I mean? So, all right, Kev, I'll let you do the honors.
All right, man. To initiate you into the SLT family and nation, you got to give us your top 5 hip hop artists.
Let's go with Hobson.
Never
Tech
heard
Nine.
of him. Tech Nine. I heard of Tech Nine.
Tech Nine. Cryptic Wisdom. Cryptic Wisdom's really, I really like his stuff. He's kind of a YouTube startup. There's a lot of great stuff. Recognize, that's with the W. And I'll go one mention. Eminem. I think this is one everyone's got to give it up to.
Hey, Eminem is in my top 5. We've debated this one countless hours, and Eminem is definitely one of my top 5 artists, even just from just lyrical. I mean, the dude is sick, but I'm interested in some of these other guys. Cryptic Wisdom. Recognize? Yeah. I've never heard of these cats.
So Recognize is actually part of Tech Nine's his group of artists that he has under his label. So really good guys. Definitely check them out.
All right, cool.
All right, so give us some of your favorite sports teams.
Some of my favorite sports teams. This is where you guys might catch me. I don't look at a lot of other sports, but all
right. What about your 5 favorite MMA fighters? Who are your 5 favorite boxers or fighters?
Boxers or fighters? Oh, first of all, if we're going boxing, I'm going to go with Canelo because I get told on a regular basis that I look like the dude, so I start checking out some of his fights.
You do kind of look like Cinnamon. Yeah.
No, and he fantastic fighter. Loves to get in the pocket. Loves his head movement. Great guy to watch. Going to go back to MMA. Israel Adesanya. He reminds me so much of Anderson Silva, and that's the next guy on my list because I love Anderson Silva too. He retired, but got both those guys in their prime as it is right now, just straight killers. My next favorite guy won his bout last night in the main event. That was Robert Whitaker.
I
Love
was
that
just
guy.
gonna ask you about Robert Whitaker and Israel
Yeah.
Adesanya part 2.
I
Who you got?
definitely
Is Izzy or Whitaker? The Reaper?
it's so hard for me to answer because when you have favorite guys in the same weight division, you gotta start trying to pick which one you like just that much better. And I'll be honest, I think I'd rather see Robert take the title back.
Ooh.
Yeah, Adesanya's great. I think he'll win. There's a difference between who I want to win, who I think will win. I want Robert to take it, but I don't know if he has the answer for Israel's stand-up. I think he's going to have to start taking it to the ground if he wants a chance.
Yeah. All right. You got one more. One more MMA.
Jan Blehovich.
So your little situation is you got Israel just lost to Jan,
Yep.
the Polish power, and you got Whitaker's already lost to Izzy. And so, man, this is interesting. I like those top 5. Those are some great fighters, though, man.
And then the worst part is if you gave me 6, it would have been Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, he was a hard worker. I felt bad for him last night. Whitaker put on a show. I mean, it was MMA bliss the way he was picking his shots. I mean, he was all over that. He was all over Kelvin. I felt sorry for Kelvin.
And he's a tough dude. He eats those punches like he was doing.
Ate them.
And just keep running through to catch Whitaker. He was always on his toes.
But what about the fact that Gastelum was still going forward in the 5th after taking 100 strikes? I mean, he was still pushing forward. I was like, that dude is wired differently to take that type of punishment and to keep going forward, eating them shots like that.
Yeah, and you were talking about that earlier, how these people, the MMA fighters, just kind of built different in a sense. He's on another scale past it. When you look at some of the guys who are in the underleagues and then you watch a UFC fighter, it's night and day. Totally different ways of handling themselves in the cage.
Man, that's what's up. My bad, Kevin. I took over the initiation.
Hey, that's good stuff because I actually watched some of that last night. You know, I'm trying to get back into the UFC and the MMA. I'm trying to get into that, and if I'm not mistaken, that was a co-main event.
It was a co-main.
Yeah, it was a co-main. The other one was Stephen Thompson. Not Stephen. Was it? No, not Stephen Thompson.
No, it was
Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, Stevens versus I can't think of the other cat name, but he pushed him in the pre.
Yeah,
they canceled it.
Yeah,
the other guy's famous because he got pushed and got hurt because of that push and canceled the fight.
And he was actually the hotter fighter. He had won 3 of his last 4 fights.
Yeah, I don't know what could have happened.
He said he woke up throwing up with the headache, and he said he had a concussion, like a whiplash type concussion.
God damn, Jeremy Stevens pulling more force than we thought.
Oh yeah, come on now. All right, so the last question before we let you join our family.
Oh, okay.
What does it mean for you to be a fighter?
That's a really hard question to answer because there's so many different reasons why me and myself got into martial arts itself, and more than that, started competing. And as exciting as it is, what it means to me is it means life. And that's kind of a corny answer to give. I can understand that. But you have to understand, this has been me since I was 5 years old. Competition's been my life since as early as I can remember joining martial arts. And so there is no other option. There is no other choice I would rather pick. There's no other avenue. This is make it or break it. I either succeed here or it's catastrophic failure. So fighting, what it means to me is life. It means food, money, home, career. So that's what fighting means to me.
Wow.
That was a great answer.
Excellent answer. Hey, it's got me thinking different. Hey, it put a little bit more at risk here, and it means more to you than what it means to just an average person. So Kevin, what do you call it when you have a superhero? Is it called like a backstory? Origin story or something like that? Okay. So SLT Nation, when this guy talks about putting food on the table and been fighting since he was 5 years old, he's been fighting in the ring or on the streets, but he's been fighting just the perils of life. Now, you lost a family member at an early age. You was raised with a single mom. Tell us a little bit about your superhero origin stories, man.
I love that that's what we're calling it, by the way. I think that's perfect. So yeah, when I was 5 years old, my dad passed away. And up to that point, I had a pretty large family, mainly his side. And so, some of the earliest memories I have of him, he's playing with me with Legos and he's picking me up from my babysitter. And when he passed away, it was really sudden. Like, we weren't at the hospital. No one was ready for it. And we had the funeral and everything, and then almost immediately after the funeral, everyone's gone, just out. And I couldn't understand why, and I still don't understand why, to be honest. And I just knew that it hurt, and I brought the hurt with me to school, and I brought the hurt with me to after-school tutoring, and I would fight other kids, I would hurt other kids, I'd be disruptive in class. I had numerous in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions, and I was pretty close to being expelled because one of the last things I did that I remember really, really was bad is I ran around the playground just cracking other kids. Didn't matter. I just wanted to hurt other people. And so my mom decided that if I'm going to be this kind of violent person, then I need to be productive with what I'm doing. She put me in my first martial arts class. And that was a Taekwondo school called Wilson's Taekwondo in Desert Hot Springs. And I immediately fell in love with it. I went back 3 times a week, which is what they allowed at the time. That quickly moved to 5 times a week when they added more classes, more hours to the day. I went every single time I possibly could because it made me so happy. And then I remember I took my first tournament. In my first tournament, I took 3rd place sparring, 1st place in kata, which is like showmanship style things. And as much fun as it was to show off what I could do, getting in that little square and being able to hit the other, as odd as bad as it sounds, being able to fight the other kids there and really test myself made me so happy. And so I kept going with that. And so as I moved forward and they brought my martial arts into school, it became more MMA oriented. They started bringing in jujitsu into the school, some kickboxing into the school. I started not necessarily competing there, but definitely trying out and getting really involved in these martial arts. And along the way, which actually will go into the tale of the gym, along the way there, I had a lot of good friends of me who joined in martial arts, and I saw them prosper. They helped each other grow. But because I grew up in a harder area, things were tight a lot of times for these families. And so a lot of my friends I really cared about to drop out. And I would watch them. I'd watch the progression, their path, because they either been in school with me a few years ahead or a few years back, and some of them would drop out of school. Some of them had gotten involved in the gangs that were affiliated out in that area. Some of them started selling drugs or doing drugs. And a few of them out of those individual chapters died of different causes. And I strongly believe that they stayed in martial arts, that would not have happened to them. And so I kept that with me going through these different trials in my life. And eventually I met a gentleman who was an ex-national kickboxing champion out of Los Angeles, 10-year veteran, lots of belts. And oddly enough, I'm thinking, I'm a 2nd-degree black belt Taekwondo. I have tournaments under my belt. We can spar and I'll hang in with this guy. And apart from him being like 13 years older than me with all that experience, I was still pretty much a kid at this point. It was sad. It was sad, man. I mean, if we decide to talk about it, it looked like Ben Askren versus Jake Paul last night. And so that got me to be like, okay, no, I need to really expand my knowledge. What I have so far is not enough. And so I started taking legit Muay Thai classes with this guy and then other gyms. And I started to compete in cage fights very soon after that. And that was the next level for me. That was the pinnacle of excitement. It still is. That's still where I love to be now. And so as I went through the motions there and competing, I got together with my mom. And this is how we kind of got the gym up and running to continue to promote the combat sports and promote people's health and well-being. And we decided that, okay, why don't we put together a gym that we can do as a nonprofit that would be free for anyone to take martial arts. It allows everyone to get the benefits that I got growing up. And we can completely axe the membership fees, the monthly dues. And so it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is. You want to train, you want to benefit your life, or you want to compete one day, you want to make this your career. You can come here every single time we hold the class. That's 5 days a week. And you can come today and it's free. You can come next year. It's free. It doesn't matter. You just show up and we got you. And so that's been going on since 2018 now.
Wow.
And I met a lot of crazy, not crazy bad, crazy great ex-pro fighters, people who were en route to Bellator, people who came from the UFC. Cub Swanson, I used to train out with him. I used to train with him in True MMA. His people would come over and train with our guys. We'd have sparring, kind of not tournaments, but like get-togethers, and we test ourselves, go back and forth. And so all this kind of came to a head about 2018 when I put the gym together and started seeing people come in from different backgrounds and histories. And that inspires me every single day. That's why I say that this is life for me. This is food, home, everything to me, because that gym is resting on my shoulders when I go out there and compete, resting on my team's shoulders when they go out and compete. All these kids who I teach, I got to make sure I'm there and ready for them. I got to make sure I keep myself safe in the cage so I can come back and not look like a broken mess. And so I can keep helping these students who come into the gym, make sure I can provide for my family. And that's where we sit today. And even through COVID, it's still been a wonderful support. We opened up live stream classes where we could teach people martial arts from the safety of their own homes. They don't have to go out anywhere. And now that the limitations have lifted, people are getting vaccinated, we're masking up and being safe. We're able to take everything back into the gym, reopen, and start having indoor classes again. And so that's where we are currently, and that's where I am currently, especially.
Man, I tell you, first and foremost, Cub Swanson is a bad boy. So to be able to be in the same room with Cub, I remember him back from his WEC days before they got bought out by before they got bought out by UFC. But going back into this this education in this free program, I 100% agree with what you were saying. It's funny because every time an MMA person does something at a bar or a club, they get into an altercation, you see the video footage and everybody's like, oh, they're trained in combat sports, so they're out bullying people. And one thing I always tell people, those videos are only snippets. If you know anything about going through mixed martial arts, boxing, those are the people who are more restrained and they make better judgment and better decisions than most people because it's not moving a million miles per hour. Their adrenaline is not spiking. They aren't nervous in the situation because they've been trained. They're actually thinking about consequences. So if it does escalate, 9 out of 10 times that person thought that they had to defend themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because those aren't the rotten fruit out there is what I'm trying to say.
No, not at all. In fact, this is a great clip of Matt Sierra, ex-WEC, ex-UFC. I think he held the belt too at one point. Fantastic jiu-jitsu artist. He got attacked by this drunk guy at a restaurant. He came up to him, basically told him, "Hey, stop what you're doing. You're ruining everyone's time." And he hauled off and tried to attack him. So Matt put him on the back, almost sitting on top of him, holding his arms down. And that got a little bit of hate too, because it's like, well, why is this ex-pro fighter out here attacking these random drunk people at bars? And that's not even close to what happened. He put him down because he was being belligerent, and then security came and picked him up, and that was it. So exactly what you said just now. It's not, people aren't going out. Like, you don't have pro fighters, you don't have basic martial artists going around picking fights with people because there's real life consequences. And not even necessarily if you're thinking about law, but if you fought in MMA gym, if you competed at any point or any kind of concept of sparring, oh boy, I can get hurt here. I can get myself rocked. And so it's the weighing out a situation. If you can avoid it, if you can get out, they do that. It's just not worth it to them, especially if they have a career in it. You can't have, like we said, Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson's not going to bars and picking fights with dudes because his hands are on the line, his legs are on the line. His mentality is, he takes one crack to the head, that might be it, even by accident. So you got to be very cautious, very safe when it comes to these guys.
Now, before I turn it over to Kevin, the nickname Bear. Yeah, that's a dope nickname. I hadn't heard that one. How'd you earn the nickname Bear? Was it in the ring or?
How did I earn the nickname Bear? I got two things for you. One for you, a lot of fighters, they don't get their nicknames from ringer training. Now that's kind of a hard thing to think about. They actually, when you first go to your very first fight, whatever it is, they're like, "What's your monogram? What's your monogram? What's your name? What are they gonna call you?" And you give it to them. A lot of guys come prepared. A lot of guys just like, Destroyer. Like, they think of it right on the spot. I got my name when I was 2 years old, and that's because I ruined a bear's life in the wilderness. No, my mom actually gave me that name. But since as long as I can remember, she's been calling me Bear, and it was always endearment. She would call me Jared Bear specifically, and so I just kind of ran with that. I thought that was a great name to have, Jared Bear Fiorda. I've noticed since I was 2 years old or younger whenever she started, and people have said it throughout my whole life. Even as friends would joke after my mom said it in front of them, and so I thought that's something so close to me, and it sounds great to begin with, so let's run with that.
Yeah, I'm afraid to call you Jared Bear, man. I don't want I don't want the consequences. You just talked about them. I get hurt.
I know. What's funny, what y'all just talked about, what's the young lady, B. Jones, that whooped the guy that was messing with her?
Pollyanna. Yeah.
That made me think of that. So, Bear, tell us who you model your fight style after.
Yeah, I actually model. I like to think a lot about my fight style is very long range. I'm very technical when I fight. I like to pick apart my opponents. I like to fight at a distance. I have to kind of think on the fly when someone rushes my center. And so when I think about fighters who I want to kind of look after, I think of like Robert Whitaker, Adesanya, going after Anderson Silva, guys who are not so stuck tight with their guard. They're very loose, they're calm, they flow. When I think about like Bruce Lee or Muhammad Ali, when I think about those guys and how they fought and their speed and their accuracy, but they're so calm when they're going through the motion of things. That's what I want. That's what I model my style after.
So you're kind of a cerebral fighter.
Yeah, and it's not so much as I'm not trying to play games with the guy or wait it out either. I'm not looking to take my shots and time it. I'm testing waters the whole time. I got jabs going out there, I got kicks going out there, because I think to myself, if I take a pause here and I stop, this guy's going to capitalize on that. Just like, and I try to think of it as Bruce Lee would actually. I want to stay in constant motion when I'm competing, when I'm fighting. I'm bouncing the balls on my feet, I'm moving, because any moment that dude can decide just to blitz me and try and take my head off. So I got to be out of the way and be ready to counter his stuff the moment he comes in. So I try and be constantly moving, constantly active. And I think that does play a little bit of head games with my opponents too sometimes, and they're not ready to kind of keep up that pace.
All right. So what separates you from other fighters in your division?
So I fought for a few different labels. So division to me is kind of hard as it's been two different technically arenas. But when I look at a lot of guys at this stage in their career, they're very they're still kind of finding themselves a little bit. They're still kind of like learning how to not just keep their hands up, not the basic stuff, but they're still kind of learning what their style is. And if occasionally you see a guy who's got it, you look at him like, oh no, this guy, he's a knockout artist. So this guy's got his he gears his whole fighting base to go to the ground. And he looks like Khabib Nurmagomedov, looks like a monster on the ground. And so that's kind of where I see myself being different. Is I've got myself together. I know how I'm gonna fight, how I'm gonna pick my opponent apart, no matter who he is, how tall he is, how big he is. I know what my game plan is, and so I'm not walking in there and kind of throwing hope shots. I'm not always going for the big overhands because I know they're gonna work. I'm going for what's gonna do best for me and what I've trained for with my team.
So I checked out one of your videos about showing us how to do the roundhouse kick correctly.
Yeah.
So besides making videos like that, what does your typical day look like?
Apart from content, I actually had a question about this. Like, oh, Bear, what are your other hobbies? What do you do outside of making content and training? And I'm going to be just very honest here when I say pretty much nothing. A lot of my days are filled because I have this active lifestyle, because I need to keep pushing, keep finding new avenues for success. I'm constantly either discussing things with businesses, or I'm talking to sponsors, or I'm talking about fights, or I'm going to my own team or my training area outside my home where I film content, or I'm making additional content, because that to me is fun, even though it's work. This is the thing I love. And if I had to list other things that I do on the outside, I play a lot of D&D. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I love that stuff. But
now that's the board game, right? That's the physical board game.
Yeah, that's the board game.
Do you have like a crew of people you roll with on D&D, or is it just
my family?
You pick up games.
I do it with my family.
Oh, okay.
I got my friend sitting next to me over here. I got my girlfriend who's usually DMing. I got my daughter who sits on the side. She plays too. No. This is an interesting story.
I was going to ask you about the crutches.
And I just threw one of them across the room because I was too excited. I don't know. But no, I was training for an upcoming smoker fight. Not supposed to be doing those. But I was training for it. And oddly enough, whenever you go to a gym, you have guys who are super fantastic. Those are the guys who are pushing your limits. And then you have the guys who just showed up. The guys who are just starting out for the first time. And I had this kind of problem where I don't always take the guys who just showed up as seriously as I should. And I went for a body kick, and the dude knew well enough to jam his elbow as hard as he could into my ankle, and that was the end of it. I sprained it. And so now I'm on crutches. Now I'm resting.
What's a smoker fight?
A smoker fight is basically where either you don't want to compete yet, and you want something that's not going to count at all, or there's nothing going on. Due to COVID, California's been next to shut down completely. And so they'd opened up some things, but they're not sanctioned, right? So you don't have these things are not going to go on any kind of permanent record. They're not going to be seen by a whole lot of people, but it's kind of like hey, don't get ring rust. You know, don't get stagnant. And that's what I was taking up there. I didn't know who he was, who it could have been. They were offering it as a tournament style, so you could have competed more than once if you wanted to. It was a very interesting way to see it roll. But unfortunately, that I'm out now, so I wish it happened differently.
All right, so how do you balance your career and family? Because you said you got a daughter, you said you have a girlfriend. So how do you find that common balance?
very lucky to say that my girlfriend works in an industry quite similar to mine, entertainment, and so a lot of our schedules kind of match up, or she has an understanding of, oh, hey, he needs to go make content for his following. There's not very big confusion. And even my little one's on social media. She actually makes videos about the environment, about animals, and so we're all very cohesive and we all work together very well and have a great understanding of each other's kind of schedules of sorts. But we also find time to stop and go have family dinners. We go out to drive-in movies, for instance. We stop and play D&D, or we just sit down and have conversations about whatever's come up. We don't. So we have our schedule, but if we're talking to each other, we don't pull away from those conversations. I think that's what's really helps. We don't say, okay, you got to stop talking to me because I got to go do my work. We wait till that person's done and we augment our stuff according to that. And that's how we're able to balance out our life and our work, because we're very accommodating to each other, but we're also respecting of each other's time when it comes to work.
All right, so you mentioned your girlfriend, and she's kind of in a similar industry as you. So you want to tell us her name and what she does?
Sure. So actually, if you guys want to go to her TikTok, you can find her there. It's at Summer, like the season, Helene, and she does a lot of Hollywood inside stories. Talks about some of the nitty gritty of things you would normally not hear. She can't always give away names because some things are still covered by NDAs, but you can learn a lot about the ins and outs of the industry just through that platform itself.
All right, so what is something that you learned from fighting that you can transition into real life?
I recently picked up this mentality, and it's been doing me wonders. So when you get into a fight, or just before, when you get in the cage, this leaves for the most part. But that buildup of anxiety, that feeling of, oh my God, what's this guy going to do? What's going to happen? I don't know him exactly. I may have watched all his videos, but God, who can tell? And then you kind of build that up by training for 8-12 weeks for this dude. You spend all this time worried about one man for 15 to 25 minutes. It takes a large part of your mindset goes everything to him, and so you build up this kind of anxiety towards it. Every fighter who gets in a cage is afraid. It doesn't matter who they are, they're afraid of that other guy, and not because he's trained, but because anyone can hurt you. It doesn't matter. You can get hurt by any random fella, and the reason why we don't have that same emotion outside the cage is because it's random. It could happen in a moment and you just got to react. But when you sit there and think about this dude for months at a time, you build up that kind of anxiety. And I recently always tried to calm it down. I used to always try and bring it down to a point of, okay, I can handle it. I'm going to be okay. Don't sweat it. You got your training. But I've changed that, and I don't do that anymore. I now think to myself, great, I'm afraid. Let the fear happen. Let it be there, because that's going to keep me safe. If I'm afraid of that dude's punches, I'm not going to let him hit me. If I'm afraid of that guy choking me out, I'm not going to let him take me to the ground. And I can bring that into life, and I can bring that into when I talk to sponsors, when I think about what I'm going to do to benefit my business. And I can think to myself, if I don't get on this platform, this social media platform, I'm going to lose followers. I'm going to lose potential clientele to come into the gym. I'm going to lose potential sponsorship because they can't see where else I'm going. Or if I think to myself, oh, I'm kind of lazy today, I put in some hard work, I can go and chill and have some ice cream, that fear comes up. Are you really ready for this guy? Are you sure you can stop and take this break? Are you sure you don't want to do anything today? Because you know what's going to happen if you're unprepared during that fight. And so I let that anxiety kind of run my life to an extent. I don't want it to overpower me and let me freeze up and be scared to death, but enough to let me progress my life, enough to think, okay, I got to stay on top of everything for fear of either falling behind or losing the next fight or the next match or the next sponsor or anything like that. It keeps me on my toes, and I think that's a healthy thing for most people. When they have a healthy amount of fear of what could happen, they take more precautions. It's kind of like, for instance, B. Jones, when you came in with my intro, you knew enough about me already to tell the audience what's going on. Now, if you had no concern for me as a client, or not client, but as a guest, you'd have been like, he'll tell me or whatever. I don't care. I don't need to do my research. But you know that it looks best. It sounds fantastic when you know what you're talking about. So you went ahead and did your research. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Having a healthy amount of anxiety, not let it kill you, but enough to drive you forward.
Now, are you saying that you liked my intro? That it was good?
Yes, I loved it. It was great.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, so let me ask you a question, because you just brought me to a certain point. Like I said, I love watching it because I kind of go through the emotions that you just talked about. Like when a Stipe was about to fight a Frank, I'm like, oh my goodness, the tensity and the anxiety that's in the room. You can feel it at home. You're sitting in your living room, but you still kind of got this angst in you. What is going through your mind as you are walking to that ring and they are smearing the Vaseline on your eyes and they checking you down, and you're taking that t-shirt off and you climbing up those 3 steps, which probably feel like a mountain. What is it? Tell me about the mindset of what's going on in your head as all of that transpires.
Oh man, I'm thinking about everything, and I don't mean like everything I trained for either. I'm thinking about the ice cream I had 2.5 years ago and how fantastic it tasted. Every thought that is possibly I've ever thought about is rushing back to me in that moment, and that's part of that fear. Where not like your life flashing before your eyes, but definitely like just decisions you made, your contemplation of the fight, or maybe what you did for a pre-workout last Tuesday comes back. And so as he's going through there, I'm taking my shirt off and saying goodbye to my team for the next however many minutes, and they're putting the Vaseline on, they're checking my mouthpiece, they're having me tap my groin to check my cup. And I get in there and I start running around the cage, and the announcer is calling us out and who we are, what our accomplishments are, and everything right there is hitting until the very last second. Everything I've done or thought about is just ramming me in the head and the chest until the very last moment. And then the moment the ref says go, and you get out there and you touch or you don't touch, you kind of want to feel that out just in case they try and sneak something in. It's gone. And so the build-up is there until the very last second, and then all you think about is either what you trained or what you are afraid of happening, so you move out of the way, or what comes by second nature. Maybe you train your right hand so much that the moment you see their left, you just know to slip and come back with it. And so all that stuff, none of that. I think for me personally, a lot of the technicality of the fight doesn't occur, mainly just random thoughts, and that's why I try and keep a monocle of control over it, because that anxiety is good, but I don't want it to ruin me.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So the show we hear is called You Got Next, and of course, Barry, we want to tell the fans out there what to expect from you down the road. And you gave us a great kind of input on free MMA, right? So tell us a little bit more about what the future holds for that program, and where do you see yourself in this organization in the next 5 to 7 years?
So in the next 5 to 7 years, if I have done my job properly in the next 5 to 7 years, I'm no longer head coach. I'm not actively doing a lot of teaching there, because here's the thing. You have people who are built to fight and you have people who are built to teach, and there's not anything wrong with either one of those people, but they are experts in their own category. Me bouncing between them right now means I'm devoting half my mindset somewhere else. And since I'm still actively competing in the cage, I can't be given that much thought into the what's going on in other people's day-to-day life training. But there are coaches out there. I have some fantastic coaches for boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, who have dedicated their lives to the art and now want to give back to the community. And so in the next 5 to 7 years, I expect more free MMAs. I expect an expansion. I expect stronger teachers to come in and do and give to the students what I sought to give them since the very beginning: a healthy mindset, a new life if they want it, just a place to blow off steam if they need it. Looking to expand the initial facility we have in larger size, including more rooms for activities, whether it be a bigger workout space, whether it be a separate section for either a cage or a boxing ring, or we put in another whole layer of mats and call it the jiu-jitsu room. I'm looking for an expansion every way possible, be it another building, on-site location, teachers, student base. So growth, in a general sense, just growth for the whole project.
So when it's all said and done,
yeah.
What how do you want to be remembered?
When it's all said and done, how do I want to be remembered? Of course, I want to be remembered as like the best thing in the world. I don't want to be remembered as the GOAT, the guy who came in and cleaned everyone out. I want to be like what Khabib did, left on a 29-0 record. That's what I want. And I want to be the guy who's remembered as, this one's probably going to be a little more long-term, the guy who started the concept of these free martial arts. The guy who brought into reality the light of what martial artists actually need, what people could use, what could benefit from it, and something that continues on way past me. I don't care if the martial arts changes. I don't care if we learn to fly and learn to fight in the air like in Dragon Ball Z. I don't care how it rolls, as long as I'm the guy who gets remembered for, hey, he started this concept. This was his dream, his baby that blossomed into what we all know now as free martial arts.
As a fighter, who's your one dream fight? If I could call up one fighter right now, get you in a training camp for 2 months, three months, who do you want to fight?
It would still be Anderson Silva. I know he's retired. I know he's out of the game, but that guy was a straight killer. He was my hugest inspiration for so many years. He had a near decade long run where he just was untouchable. And even when he lost for the first time after that reign, he lost because he was being silly. He didn't even lose because the guy was technically better than him. So it doesn't matter how old he gets. I know the guy's still going to clean my clock. He's still going to run me a good matchup, and I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, I don't think you want to mess with Spider. I don't know. I think Spider may be like 45, 50 years old now, but leave that problem alone. Man, yeah, he got knocked out messing with Chris Weidman. That was funny, actually. So, all right, so you know all about the championship rounds, man. Well, Kevin and I, we started recently playing a game with you guys, the guests, in which you are going to be a judge today. Have you ever played the game Would You Rather?
I've played Would You Rather in general.
All right, so we're about to play another version of Would You Rather, except this time you are going to pick an answer. I'll give you an option. Kev will give you an option. Whichever option you choose, the host gets the points. Now, this is championship rounds. You being a fighter, you already know that means it's only 3 rounds, right? So we're gonna see. So 3 rounds, the winner goes. Now, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but this is our 5th game. Kevin now tied 2-2. I just swept him on the last show. I'm back-to-back champ, so it's all on you right now to break that tie and keep this thing going. So I will, as the defending champ, wearing the crown right now, Kevin. I will get this started. I will get this started today. All right. So round 1 with the Bear. You all right? You ready, Bear?
Let's do it.
Would you rather win the UFC title or
your organization blows up and you help millions of people?
Both those things hurt me right now. I gotta tell you that. Gotta get some brain power going. I gotta go with the free MMA. I gotta go with KT.
There you go. All right, KT, you got the first point. It's looking good for you, brother. It's looking good for you. I'll let you lead off the second round.
All right. So would you rather knock out someone with 1 strike in the first round, or
would you rather dominate your opponent for 5 rounds like Kamaru Usman and let them know that you squarely beat them?
Oh, take him out in the first round. Yeah, that's super easy. Yeah, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you think about it from the fighter's perspective. That's 5 rounds in the cage with another trained killer. And while it's a guarantee that I'm going to run a train on him, it's not a guarantee he won't break my nose, give me cauliflower ear, split an eyebrow in the process. And so I may look great for 5 rounds, but if I want to impress the big man Dana White or anyone on that platform of that program, I know that a one shot, like a walk-off KO like Mark Hunt, just hitting him and just walking out the cage.
Like Masvidal over Askren.
Oh, beautiful.
Askren.
3-second knockout by flying knee. Yeah, that one. That'd be perfect.
Well, B. Jones.
Yeah, you got it. You won.
But just to be fair, let's go ahead and ask him the third one anyway. So would you rather go back 10 years and start your career over again, or
would you rather fast forward 10 years and see the future of where you're going to be?
Oh, fast forward on this one. B. Jones got it.
I got a point. Avoided the sweep.
So to me, I am who I am purely because of what I've done. I have started this 10 years ago. Like I said, the gym started 2018. So 10 years ago, the gym didn't exist. What if I go back, have a different experience because I had this knowledge, and I make a mistake or I make a decision that leads me down the line to not have the gym, leads me down the line to partake in a different sport that is not cage fighting, all because I had preconceived knowledge about what's going to happen. Versus I just continue on the path. I go down 10 years, and I know where I'm going in 10 years. So I know I'm going to see myself on the UFC platform. I know I'm going to be wearing the gold. I know I'm going to have multiple gyms out there. I know I'm going to be helping thousands of people. So to just see that a little bit early doesn't hurt me.
All right. Well, Jared, Bear, Fiorda, you got next, my friend. It has been a pleasure to interview you. Congratulations on being our first MMA fighter to do the show. The first person that could just single-handedly destroy Kev without looking. That's right, Kev. It's a little animosity because you won. It's a little animosity.
Well, hold up, B. Take it up with him because he's the one to answer the questions.
I ain't taking up nothing.
Exactly.
Hey, even with the crutches, Kevin, I ain't taking up nothing with this man. Hey, you got that, Bal. No smoke. All right, man. So tell everybody where they can find you. And if they want to learn more about free MMA or become a part of the gym, how can we, how can somebody look you up and find you right now?
Well, yeah, I am. So my name at Bear Fiorda is literally everywhere. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, on the more obscure platforms, Zen, Triller, Dub Smash, Lit, Byte. I try and get everywhere I possibly can. Free MMA Gyms at Free MMA Gyms with an S is our main channel, and that's going to be your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Well, y'all heard it first, folks. This man has got a bright future. He's going to bring it to you guys raw. I am so excited to see what the future holds for you, Bear. If I'm ever out there in California, I'm going to come by and just do one little training sessions, let you work me over real good, man. Maybe let you take one of the gut shots with one of those little pads on. We'll film it, makes it go viral with it. Have some fun with it. All right, man. Well, listen, everybody out there, thank y'all for checking out the channel and coming by, stopping and checking us out, learning a little bit more about Bear. If you hadn't figured it out by now, Sports Life Talk, we film every Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. It's an hour-long show. We stream on Facebook, YouTube. We talk about everything from combat sports to football to life and relationships in general. Henceforth, Sports Life Talk. We have a blast, so come check us out. And let's keep the movement going. We promised you guys bigger and better content. We are giving it to you. It has just been a great time. And remember, tell a friend to tell a friend. We appreciate you coming by. Y'all take care of one another. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed, and we're looking forward to seeing y'all on the other side. We love you. Yeet.
Lil' baby say I'm fly, she see me. I know I got a giant in the drip, but I double cause I'm tired of the vibe, she clingy. And I don't play around with the wrist. When I get it, you already know the vibe is VV's. I swear I feel alive when I'm in the yo into the AM, making vibes on repeat. And I ain't gotta lie, you see these. She said she want a vibe, she need 3. Each one for my boys, my teamies. Swimming through the riches with my squad, believe me. Iced out Audemars, Philippe's. Big dog since a gin, know I'm 8. Cook and let them know I'm different raw with the apron. Do this for my sons, I know it's mine for the taking. Lil' baby look like she the type that be playing. Slide and I skate this. She done me probably thinking who this. Yeah, money now it's funny how I see the mood switch. But boy, lame girl, funny how the two mix. So I got them uptight, now they got the loose lips. Want the doors with a suicide on them. If I'm winning, gotta put my slimes on it. I ain't buying no Gucci or Prada. That shit my man, and it's proof for her, solid. Drip the finesse like Kyrie. Young man with his own brand, I designed it. Whole gang got a wrist spring cause I iced it. No name in my domain, I'm the nicest. Night game, know I used to dream of the diamond. Two bad things I'm in between like a hyphen. When I pull up to the scene.